Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the wait is finally over. We have waited 7 years for this feature to be introduced, but say hello to banner shields. Before we get into today's video, I ask you very kindly to leave a like. Can we get 5,000 likes for the first official 1.20 beta and preview? It has taken me a very long time to set up this world. Anyway, let's get into this. There is a lot to go through. Minecraft Bedrock Edition players, you are now looking for the version 1.20.0.20. There is the confirmation from JWell's Megaspud, our Minecraft community manager. He said some exciting stuff in this week's Minecraft preview and beta. Getting ready for 1.20 with more fixes and tweaks and introducing a feature you've all been keen to see in Bedrock: banners on shields. If you want the official changelog, it is down below. Oh yeah, that also means 1.19.80 is complete. It might release tomorrow, but probably coming next week. Starting with experimental features, accessibility features, potions, tipped arrows, and mob effects have had their colors adjusted to make them more distinguishable from each other. So if we go and type in potions, as you guys know, potions are no longer enchanted. There's no glint on them, and the colors have been altered, but they actually failed to do the exact same thing when it comes to tipped arrows. So they finally updated them. Some of the colors do look a little bit weird, but this is also applying to spiders as well, or mobs that can have effects. So for example, if you managed to find a spider that was super fast and enchanted, the colors now match the actual potions and the tipped arrows. Slight change with Archaeology. Minor pottery shards can now be found as loot when brushing suspicious sand blocks in the desert pyramids. And it's this one that you're specifically looking for. Wasn't working previously. It's now going to be found there. Sheltered pottery shard now has the correct display string. We do have a bug report. Here is the bug report, and it's just referring to the line of code here. So you can see it says shelter pottery as one word. It should be shelter space pottery. This is something that you would notice if you like to dig around in the Minecraft code. Moving on to brush. Brushes can now be enchanted with mending, unbreaking, and curse of vanishing. Okay, so this cannot be done inside the enchantment table, but if you put this inside of there, mending now works, the unbreaking enchantment now works, and curse of vanishing if you are evil. It does say the brush tool now displays a tooltip when aimed at suspicious blocks on touch devices. Brushing other non-suspicious blocks will now produce a generic brushing sound. Okay, so as you guys know, suspicious sand has a brushing sound effect. Same with this one. They're saying that when you try and brush something else like regular sand or regular gravel, it's meant to have a generic brushing sound. But there's no sound at all, unless that's what it means. But there is absolutely no sound at all. The brush is now dealt damage upon brushing brushable blocks. No damage is taken when breaking blocks. We have a bug report. Brushes durability are used up incorrectly. So we do have a video here. This person is brushing away. They got the item. When they start breaking things like sand, the durability starts to go down. So now if I break an item with this, as you can clearly see, the brush durability does not go down. But if I brush this away, as you can see there, the durability does go down. So it's kind of been done in reverse and fixed. The use of a brush will no longer be interrupted if clicking the left mouse button while brushing, which is holding the right mouse button. So I'm on keyboard and mouse. So if I'm brushing with this and I try and tap left click, which is what I'm doing, it's no longer going to break the actual item on me. Bamboo wood set. Aligned the flammability of the bamboo wood set to match the other wood set. So the bug here was that bamboo did not burn. The bamboo fence gate. It did not burn or disappear at all. So now it matches the other versions and does have a chance to burn. There you go. Moving on to blocks, suspicious sand and suspicious gravel. Do not drop anymore when falling on the top of a daylight sensor, signs, banners, mob heads, conduits, or campfires. We have a bug report. So if you missed this bug, you could actually pick up suspicious sand and gravel. We have a video here, so it's only available for a limited time. You can see here the actual block doesn't break and shatter like it should. It could be picked up. So I can confirm that they have fixed this and it's no longer going to be a thing. Man, I missed out. It would have been nice to have this as a collection block. I'm pretty sure players will figure out a way to collect it. All right, heads up. Rules for placing blocks on top of the decorated pots are now aligned between Java and Bedrock. We have a bug report. Placement of blocks on a decorated pot is not the same as Java. And as you can see, they've got X's and ticks showing you what blocks worked on specific platforms. Some worked on Bedrock while they didn't work on Java. Some worked on Java and they didn't work on Bedrock. So this is a parity feature. But it does say decorated pots no longer provide full support on their top faces, meaning scaffolding, redstone dust, redstone repeaters, redstone comparators, levers, glow lichens, skulk veins, pointed dripstone, and door blocks can no longer be placed on top of them. So there was a lot of things that you could place on top of these, which I thought was pretty cool. It's no longer possible for you to do, which really, really sucks because I like that. Also, bells can only be placed on full faces of blocks. Rails can only be placed on full faces of blocks. Amethyst cluster as well. Buttons can only be placed on full faces of blocks. Top snow, corals, sea pickles, suspicious sand, and suspicious gravel do not drop anymore when falling on top of skulk sensors or calibrated. So they really did make some big changes there. Moving on to Cherry Grove. Cherry Grove biome can no longer generate with invisible double tall grass blocks above pink petals. We have a bug report. So your petals could slightly glitch out in this biome. And as you can see here, they're hovering over one of the petals and it was too tall. Kind of like this. That no longer happens. Also, dandelions no longer generate in the Cherry Grove biome. Hanging signs decreased the maximum number of characters allowed in hanging signs while increasing their font size. This is a parity change. So again, you can't get as much on there, but the font is much bigger. And I kind of like it for the hanging signs. I just don't want them to do regular signs the same as Java. You can't get as much text on regular signs on Java, so I hope they don't change that. But I can deal with this one. I think it's pretty cool. It just distinguishes the difference between a regular sign. Remember to like the video. So yeah, pretty cool. And remember, don't forget, you can now type on the back. This is cool. Arrows no longer get stuck shaking violently at the bottom of hanging signs. And I did show you guys this in a separate video where they would really, really bug out. And it wasn't just them. I believe it was also Tridents did the same thing as well. Has this one been fixed? Let's see. Yes, they're basically like invisible now. Very similar to regular signs. Hanging signs improvements. Let's read the change log. So a lot to cover here, but it did say hanging signs and other blocks can now be attached to anvil, which is on the bottom, Churus flower, which is on the bottom, mob spawners, which is sides and bottom, grindstone, bottom when the grindstone is hanging, maybe on the wall, maybe on the ceiling, daylight sensors on the bottom, and turtle egg on the bottom. Hanging signs and other blocks can no longer be attached to the side of dirt path or farmland. There was a lot of text to put on one side and it kept saying bottom and it just didn't make sense. So hopefully this did. Hanging signs attached to the bottom of decorated pots, now attached with a V-shaped chain to the pot. So if we grab this, and even if you're crouching or not, so crouching will always be a V. If you're just standing up, as you can see there, it will always be a V shape. And that is to do with it kind of glitching out a little bit. When you try to put it on a decorated pot, the change just looked a little bit weird. Increased the volume of sounds emitted by hanging signs. Crimson, warped, and bamboo hanging signs now have custom sounds to match their wood type. Okay, so that kind of makes sense. So we'll grab all of these. Listen. As you can see, there's a difference when you place it as well. Kind of makes sense. that was updated. The UI background for signs and hanging signs now always matches the material they are made of. Moving on to armor trims. Untrimmed armor pieces now render correctly in hand and in the world when carrying an equivalent armor piece with trim. Now, we've got a couple more bug reports that I want to read over first. It does say, when swapping a trimmed armor piece with an equivalent piece without trims, both items now render correctly in the HUD hotbar. And the exact same bug, but it does say render correctly in UI slots. Okay, so I don't know if you guys ever noticed this, right? But if you had armor, like the one I've got in my hand here, and then you had non-enchanted or non-trimmed armor, and you place some stuff on this, like in your inventory, in your hotbar, this would kind of overlay on here, even though these had no trims on top of them. And I don't know if you guys, it's hard for me to explain. If you did play beta and preview, you probably experienced this, because I would make one set, but I didn't have it on these, but they also looked like they had trims on. Anyway, it's now been fixed. It's now been fixed. Your UI is no longer going to be bugged or freaking out a little bit. It was such a weird bug. Changes with camels. It says camels now straighten their heads after sitting down instead of looking up or down. Camel's head no longer clips into passengers when looking up. The Camel's dash bar is now displayed in the Pocket UI as well. Camel's dismount hint is now properly localized. Moving on to boats. Mobs are now correctly positioned above the surface of bamboo rafts when riding them. So for the mobs that can ride them, you can see here they're on top and nothing's glitching out, and it just makes sense. Moving on to features and bug fixes. The one you've been waiting for, shield customization. A top vanilla parity feature request. A shield can now be combined with a banner to apply its pattern on it. The banner is consumed on use. A shield can now be combined with a banner only if no pattern was previously applied. So finally, it's here. Now, you can do this as basic as you wanted, or you could do this as unique as you wanted. And I'll grab a couple of these as an example. So yeah, shields have been playing for a very long time, and I feel like this feature fits perfect into storytelling and self-expression. Anyway, you can just put this inside of here, put this on there, and you can have a basic yellow one, or you could put this inside of there, and you can use the Illager versions as well. And if you really wanted to, you could put one in your offhand, and you've got two different ones going on. So you got a basic one there, but you can customize these to be so much better than what I've just showed you. Now, of course, they all work with these. Let's grab the one I like. I like the thing one, which is related to Mojang, and I'm also going to grab one of these as well. So if we put this inside of there, again, you know how to use this. As you can see, it makes this. Then you can put this inside of there, and you can get this one, which, again, we can still have two at the same time. But the whole point of this is that we now have the banner patterns as a feature. We've waited so long. And like I told you, the reason why the developers introduced this is because they needed the technology, the same technology that Armor Trims uses. So yeah, it is a good day for Bedrock players. We waited 7 years for this one feature. Moving on to the Sniffer. The Sniffer and the Torch Flower has been de-experimentified and is available during normal gameplay. Remove the Sniffer experimental toggle since it has no active experimental content. The Sniffer Egg is now available. It's here. So you need to go to a warm ocean ruin in order to find this. You got to use a brush. You're not always going to get it. And this thing is just super weird in shape. It looks like an eggplant. It's probably the best way to say it. And they're giant. They're absolutely giant. You can't stand on these and crush them. That's kind of glowing there. But there's quite a few things I need to teach you about this. Okay, it does say, when two sniffers breed, they do not immediately spawn a snifflet. Instead, a sniffer egg is dropped. When placed on moss blocks, the egg will hatch after approximately 10 minutes. On all other blocks, it will hatch in approximately 20 minutes. So if you place this here, it's going to hatch in 10 minutes. If you place it on here, it's going to hatch in 20. I don't know what's going on when it comes to the item frame, but it's slightly bugged and looks really, really weird in an item frame. Kind of looks like a clock, to be honest with you. But yeah, the Sniffer Egg is finally here. That also means the pitcher plant is here. The Sniffer can now occasionally sniff up a pitcher pod item. And it's this item right here, which reminds me of something from Terraria, maybe like an eyeball or something like that. So they can sniff up a couple of things here. I picked one up right there, so we got 2. Yeah, we did get 2 there. So yeah, like, oh, we got another one? We got 3. So yeah, sniffers can sniff these up. And this is the pitcher itself. And I want to show you guys a few things about this. At full growth, when you pick it up, it can be an actual plant, and you can plant this down. Now, this can be bone mealed, and I think it's got like 5 growth stages. So we've got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 growth stages, and then you could break it off. I really wish we could break the bottom of it off, but it's not possible. As mentioned, once fully grown, the pitcher crop can be harvested, yielding a 2-block tall pitcher plant. Moving on to the torch flower. Torch flowers placed by players now have visual random locations in their blocks aligning with their hitboxes. Absolutely no idea what that means. Sorry. Torch flower seeds can now be used inside of the composter. You can now compost them. Torch flower grown from seeds now has a hitbox that matches the model. Bees can now pollinate torch flowers, and torch flowers can now be used to tempt and breed bees. And it looks, I did have bees here. It looks like my bees have ran away. Wait, there's a bee over there. So I can tempt and breed these guys. Come back. Come back to me. Is it these? Torch flower? Do you guys not eat these anymore? Hold on. Let's make sure we do this right. Torch. Torch. Do you guys not eat these anymore? Apparently they're meant to be used to tempt and breed. Definitely not the seeds. Maybe that's slightly broken. Using pick block on a fully grown torch flower planted on farmland now gives a torch flower instead of torch flower seeds. And there you go. There is the proof right there. It does say suspicious stew can now be crafted with torch flower. Wait, what does this actually produce? So 1, 2, 3, 4. Suspicious drink. It gives us night vision. That makes sense, since it's a torch. That doesn't brighten up. Chickens and parrots can now eat torch flower seeds and can be bred using them as well. So 1 and 2, and then you take them, and you will also take them as well. So beautiful. Vanilla Java Parity Woodland Mansion's entrance now uses cobblestone slabs. And yeah, you're just so rude. We have a bug report. Woodland Mansion entrance uses smooth stone slabs, and it doesn't match Java Edition and was updated today. Iron bars and glass panes can now be connected to pistons. All right, so we can put this here. Why is everybody all of a sudden being rude? Please move. That can go there and that can go there. Was not a feature previously, was updated and fixed today. Dead bush can now be placed on grass blocks and moss blocks, which is what you can see right there. It also says the map color for black terracotta now matches Java. Accessibility screen reader now describes function of deleted world button in storage menu. Tweaked the contrast of the text inside of header for list of worlds in storage settings menu. Moving on to gameplay, fixed an issue where a piston could become invisible, and that was a very rare occurrence. Players no longer take fall damage when falling through water at high speeds. We have a bug report. So apparently this has been an issue for a little bit of time. In fact, reported on the 15th of Feb 2022, like a year ago. So watch this person fly all the way up using the Elytra, goes in water and dies. You want to know why we don't have hardcore mode? For reasons like this. It does say players no longer fall through farmland blocks after jumping on them. Players no longer fall through mud blocks or farmland blocks if they are standing on the block as it becomes a complete block. I've showed you guys this before this bug before. It no longer makes you slide through. We did that in a separate bug video. Fixed an issue where placing blocks while sneaking on an interactable block was not working as intended with client authoritative movement. Fixed an issue where an armor stance pose would not change when right-clicked while the player has sneak, held, and flying. So yeah, that's been a problem for the past couple of betas and previews, finally fixed. Weighted pressure plates now update their signal strength immediately when multiple items are placed on top. So this was like a really delayed and broken thing for Minecraft Bedrock. So if I was to just drop these one by one, this will begin to light up when we do this one. As you can see there, it's enough for this to light up, and it instantly updated. Moving on to blocks. Wooden logs generated in woodland mansions now have the correct facing. Removed redundant lava_cauldron block. We have a bug report. Ironically enough, this was created back in 2018. Lava_cauldron can be placed via commands, and apparently like there was two different stages and sets of lava. One's obviously really dark, and that's the bugged one, and then you've got the regular lava one. I actually didn't know that was even a thing. Looked pretty cool though. The sounds emitted by players and mobs stepping, falling, jumping, or landing on top of skunk sensors are now affected by the player's sound slider. Moving on to player changes. After choosing the main menu option on the def screen, the player hitbox will be the correct size when returning to that world. We have a bug report. So I know a few of you experienced this as of recent, and we do a video here. So watch what happens here. This player just kills themselves. When they back out and come back to this game, which we'll just skip ahead a little bit here. When they come back to this world, basically your game bugs out, and you can see here that the hitbox is not the same, and you can kind of start glitching through blocks. So that was fixed today. Another reason why we don't have hardcore mode. Moving on to general fixes. Fixed an issue where a locally hosted dedicated server was not found by clients on the same machine. Fixed a bug that caused player capes to stop flapping when moving forward and looking around. Sugarcane can no longer generate air pockets when generated underwater. Added spawn_item_event to Minecraft spawn_entity. This event is called when an item is spawned. Added a progress handler when loading into a world that will wait up to a total of 15 seconds for the primary user's appearance to load. Lowered the time it takes to start up and load into the start screen. Let me know if you've had improvements with this. I know a lot of people said that their game takes a long time to load. Added a new splash text to celebrate Render Dragon launching everywhere. That's quite questionable since it removed shaders and broke a lot of things. Anyway, Graphical fixed an issue in the RTX where underwater light shafts from the moon would originate from the opposite angle of the moon's sprite. It says here, item rendering broken and unbroken elytra now render in hands in the world and in item frames where with the correct icons. Moving on to mobs, ghasts now shoot fireballs out their mouth instead of at the eye level. We have a bug report. Another bug reported back in 2018 and spans across all of these versions. And something I never really noticed is that the fireball comes from their eyes. Bro, honestly, I never knew this was a feature. So we're going to go over here and we're going to go /game mode S. Just going to summon this guy a second. It no longer comes from their eyes and actually comes from their mouth. Wow. Anyway, I never knew that was a thing, and I'm glad I never knew because it would have annoyed me for many years. Boats do not Z-fight anymore when worn by humanoid bots and armor stands. The leg and the belt parts of leggings do not Z-fight anymore when worn by humanoid mobs and armor stands. Multiplayer. iOS now requests local network access in order to find games on the local network. User interface. Let's read the change log. So the reason I'm saying this is because there was a lot of user interface and I was running out of space for science. I actually don't even know if anyone's still watching in today's video. If you are, let me know in the comment section. But if you are interested in the user interface, just to make life a little bit easier, these are the things that have been fixed. And last but not least, technical updates. Let's read the change log. If you're interested in the technical side of Minecraft, there's a link down below. Go and check it out. There was a lot of technical update changes this week. As expected, since this is the first official 1.20 beta and preview. If you did make it this far in today's video, just leave a comment and say, you know what, Echo, that parrot is beautiful. But on a more serious note, I'm so glad that we do have banished shields. It's been a very highly requested feature for 7 years. Let me know in the comments section what you think of this. I know a lot of people said it's not that big of a feature, but it really is, because this now opens up the possibility of banner waypoints on Minecraft Bedrock. Anyway, have a wonderful day, and I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.